Good afternoon. This is a sad day. Lady Justice weeps and the people of Jacksonville mourn at the loss of trust and faith in the Office of State Attorney. If published reports are correct, then the Office of State Attorney and Ms. Angela Corey has been involved in a great fraud upon the courts and a fraud upon the people of Jacksonville. It is simply unacceptable that the State Attorney would hide evidence in the prosecution of people for their very lives. And it is essential that this situation not continue. Today I ask for the Department of Justice to investigate the Office of the State Attorney for their systemic and systematic violation of the law, in particular the discovery obligations of the state and criminal prosecutions. This is an abysmal record. People may be exonerated as a result of this information today, or people may in fact be released from prison who by all rights should not be released from prison. I call upon the Judicial Qualifications Commission to investigate Circuit Court Judge John Guy as well. John Guy was with me when I exposed the mental incapacity of Maggie Aruza, who is a fine lady, who suffered from a debilitating disease, and unfortunately it was necessary for her to leave the office. But the principal responsibility for the violation of the law, for the abridgment of constitutional rights, lies at the feet of Angela Corey. Angela Corey is supposed to be a minister of justice, not just seek convictions, but to seek truth and justice in every single endeavor. In October of 2010, I discovered after an examination of Maggie Aruza, telephone examination, that something was not quite right. I asked for the opportunity to meet in front of Angela Corey and to conduct an examination. During that period of time, it became evident after 2 or 3 minutes that she was suffering from advanced dementia. She could not remember the college she attended. She could not remember the medical school she attended. And again, John Guy was there at the time. It was a sad and unfortunate day for the people of Jacksonville, for the medical examiner's office, and for all those who believe in the administration of justice. Ms. Corey later advised me that she would fulfill her constitutional obligations and disclose Maggie Aruza's condition to defense counsel in the cases that were currently being prosecuted. I disclosed that condition of Ms. Aruza to defense counsel in the single homicide case that I was trying at the time, State versus Randall Powell. Richard Kurtz, the opposing counsel, was glad that we fulfilled our obligations, and he expected nothing less. And we did what we had to do under both the Constitution, under Brady versus Maryland, and also under the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. Should I be elected your next state attorney, I will do all that is necessary to comply with the law every step of the way. There will be no shortcuts. I will not put convictions ahead of justice. I will do what is necessary to make certain that all of us have faith and trust in our criminal justice system. And before I finish, I'd like to thank Darlene Farah, who's here today. Darlene is here at the very location that her daughter was brought following her tragic death. Darlene Farah has repeatedly indicated she's opposed to the death penalty, and one of the reasons is that she wants her case to be concluded, and she does not want to wait through the appeals process that'll go for years. This is a perfect example of how years after a conviction, issues can arise, facts can be developed, law can be established, which makes a conviction suspect. Darlene Farah does not want that to happen, and I don't want it to happen for her. Certainly there's an issue and a time for the imposition of the death penalty, but when a family seeks closure, as Ms. Farah does, is not the time. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Mr. White, some people might question the timing of this, so why make this public now?
Well, I wasn't aware of what happened until I read the Folio article. I made the disclosure that I made because it was a single homicide case that I was charged with handling in Nassau County. I wasn't charged with other homicide cases in Jacksonville, and I didn't monitor them. Had I known about it, you would have heard from me a lot sooner.
What happened following that meeting, that August 2010 meeting, when you requested a meeting with Ms. Corey and John Guy?
Well, we subsequently met in front of Ms. Corey, and I adopted. Well, whenever we have a homicide case, we always prepare and practice our examination of a witness, and I had done so with Ms. Aruza. In that case, Dr. Aruza. In that case, however, opposing counsel had come up with an expert whose theory of what happened was almost unassailable. So I discussed that theory with Dr. Aruza over the phone, and it was clear that she did not have a good grasp of the facts, nor did she have an adequate rebuttal that I could use. So I asked for a meeting in front of Ms. Corey. We had that meeting in front of Ms. Corey and John Guy, at which time it was clear as day that Maggie Aruza simply was unable to fulfill her obligations as medical examiner, and she was unable to serve as a competent witness in a murder trial. As a result of that, my case was pled out to 15 years, and Ms. Aruza left the office.
How long after that did she continue working after that meeting?
My understanding at the time, Ms. Corey immediately told her, while I was there, Ms. Corey immediately told her, Maggie, it's over. You simply can't continue. So I think, if my memory serves me correctly, in October of 2010, Maggie Aruza ceased performing her duties as medical examiner, and they were taken over by Valerie Rao. That interim appointment of Valerie Rao did not occur until, I believe, January of the following year.
Mr. White, where is she now? Any idea how she's doing?
I have no idea. I can only wish her Godspeed and hope that she's doing well. But it was during the time that I worked with Maggie Aruza and she had her full faculties, I could tell you there was no better medical examiner in the state of Florida. And it is horrific what happened to her, and I can only pray that perhaps that she's better.
What are the potential repercussions of this new development?
Well, it could be that if these cases are retried, my understanding is the Public Defender's Office is going to file a motion to vacate on at least 8 cases. I imagine private defense counsel will do exactly the same thing. It's quite possible that trials will have to be retried at the cost of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to the state of Florida. And that's simply intolerable. And it's also possible that because of the passage of time, defendants will be able to escape prosecution because evidence has gone cold, witnesses have disappeared. But then again, it's also possible that innocent people will be exonerated and will once again be able to walk among us. But it is frightening to think that murderers may get out of prison and may once again take lives.
And Mr. White, it was your understanding until this week, your assumption, that Ms. Corey informed all defense attorneys about this condition, and you just found out a day or two ago this was not the case.
That's correct. I had no idea. My understanding was that she had represented to me that she was going to inform defense counsel in all homicide cases, that she or the attorney charged with handling the case would do that. And the fact, it appears, never happened. And that shame lies on Ms. Corey, and it also lays at the feet of every prosecuting attorney who failed to fulfill their constitutional obligation.
Mr. White, was there ever any understanding that maybe Ms. Corey requested her prosecutors to tell their opposing counsel at all, or was it, or could you explain that? Is it her duty specifically to come from Angela Corey, or can she delegate that to everybody you work with opposing counsel?
No, it's not necessary for the state attorney herself to inform opposing counsel. It's perfectly permissible and usually appropriate for those conversations to happen between the lead counsel representing the state in a homicide case. And that's what I had expected to happen based on the representations Ms. Corey made to me.
And that didn't happen as far as you understand?
As far as I understand, that did not happen.
Ms. Corey also has a press conference at 3 o'clock, and we could expect her to rebut a lot of your statements. And specifically possibly bring up the fact of timing here. Can you respond at all to the timing that this new information is coming out in the middle of a heated race for the next state attorney?
I would prefer not to be here. I'd prefer to believe that every case that was tried by the state attorney's office was tried with a full understanding of the obligations that prosecuting attorneys have toward the rule of law. I am saddened to be here. I hope that actually that Folio Weekly is wrong. I hope that those disclosures were made, and I hope that at the end of the day, justice has been served. I didn't know what had happened prior to reading this article late last night.